How are you? This is a while since I've done a Facebook Live, and as always, they've changed everything in the background, and now it's like, oh, is this working? Is this not working? Because they've changed everything, and the camera looks different as well, so you get to see more of my new office. Anyway, enough of that. Hello, everybody. Hello, writers. How are you? My name is Emma Desi. I'm a fiction writer. I write psychological thrillers, but more importantly for you, I'm also a book coach, and I help writers write their first novel because it's transformational. It changes your life when you write your first novel and achieve that dream that you've always wanted to achieve. You've always had in the back of your mind that you want to publish a book. And I was asked a great question today from somebody who had watched an interview I conducted earlier on this week to do with Launchpad, the countdown to publishing your book, a wonderful anthology that I've been involved with. And the question is, well, how do you know when is the right time to hit publish? And this came out of a conversation about how as soon as you hit publish, you are a business, you become a business. And whilst we start writing stories to be creative, to fulfill a need and a drive in us, whilst we start writing because we've got a story that we just want to tell and we can't get it out of our system, the reality is that as soon as you become a published author, that story that you've been writing possibly for decades, that you have described as your baby, as one of your children, it becomes a commodity, it becomes a product, it becomes an asset to you and, believe it or not, to your children as well. And so there's a bit of a shift in mindset that we have to have from that mindset of creative and all the ups and downs and the angst that comes with being a creative. We have to shift from that into being a business person and switching into our business hat, which for most of us as writers, as creatives, this is not a natural place for us to be. And it's certainly not why we thought that we were getting into the book writing industry. But the truth is that you do become a business. And you have to think differently about it, and you have to stop thinking of your book as your baby. When you put it out into the world, it belongs to everybody who is going to find your book, read and enjoy your book, all those book clubs that are going to be discussing your book and your characters. If your book gets optioned, your book very much stops being yours. You're putting it into the hands of TV or movie producers who are there going to decide what happens to your story, and they're going to chop it up and move it around and turn it into something quite different that is suitable for the TV, for a viewing audience rather than a reading audience. So we have to kind of come out of we have to shift those mindsets. But that still leaves us with the question of, well, okay, but when do you hit publish? And this will depend on one of two things. It will depend on how you decide to publish that book. So if you take the traditional route and you find an agent who loves your story, who totally believes in your story and really, really wants to find a publisher for it, then it then moves into the hands of that agent to find the publisher, and the publishing decision then moves into the publisher who buys the option to publish the book. It then falls into the pipeline, into the production pipeline. So okay, that publisher who's got it, say you get a small press that produces perhaps 20 or 30 books a year, as opposed to something like somewhere like Simon and Schuster who are publishing hundreds of books a year. So it's going to go into a pipeline, and the publisher is going to decide when they hit publish. So let's be clear about that. The publisher is going to decide when it fits into their publishing schedule and their publishing timeline. They will decide when the books go to press and pre-orders go up, and then it goes on sale. So you're very much in their hands, which takes that decision out of your hands, and you don't need to worry about that. You get to just turn up and do all the interviews and do the blog posts and talk about your book and share about your book, and go where they tell you to go, and then also, of course, create your own opportunities to turn up and talk about your book. So there's that. So the question that really you want to be asking yourself is, okay, well, when is the book ready to query? And that's a different thing. And I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but the decision to query is different to the decision to publish, when a publisher is going to hit publish, because I have not yet heard of an author who, particularly a debut, new author, who presents a book to an agent and the publisher says, yep, great, we're going to go with that. Don't need to make any changes, it's all good. I've not yet heard of that. So you're looking for your book to be query ready. So that's as good as you can make the book by yourself on your own, either entirely on your own or with a writing group that you've been collaborating with, you've been getting feedback from them, or a writing buddy, or if you've been lucky enough to work with a coach, the coach that you've got, and they get to help you work on that to make it query ready, because undoubtedly the agent or the publisher is then going to say to you, loving this book, really want to take it on, however, here are the changes that we want to see, and you as the author get to decide whether you will accept that offer and go ahead and publish with them, or reject that and say, no, I don't want to make those changes, that's not in keeping with my vision for the book. So that's a big decision to make as well. But you need to be query ready, so you're making the book the best that you can make it on your own. So a bit of a tangent there, but just to understand the difference between when your book is going to be query ready and when a publisher is going to decide that it is publish ready. Things are different on the other side if you decide that you're going to go with self-publishing, indie publishing, or even if you're going to go with hybrid publishing. So you're going to be paying for the services of a hybrid publisher. You will be taking advantage of the in-house expertise that they have, but you're paying up front for it, and then you collect the royalties, more of the royalties on the back of that. Or if you're going to be indie publishing, in which case, again, you're putting up the upfront fees to put it all together, get the book cover, all the other things that come with that, and then hit publish. And you get to make that decision. So if you are being an indie author, and I'd say to a degree as a hybrid author, you get the choice of when you hit publish. So you as the author, the creator, the business person, the authorpreneur in this situation, you get to make that choice. So you have to decide, are you happy to put your book out after 1, 2, 3 revisions? Or are you not happy to do that, but actually you're going to wait and you're going to get feedback from other people, and once you've got some feedback from some beta readers, then you'd be happy to put the book out? Or are you going to go a step further? You're going to have it professionally evaluated, take on board those comments, make any changes that are needed that you agree with, because you get to agree or disagree with those changes, and then you're going to hit publish. At what point are you going to feel ready to hit publish? You get to make that decision when you're going to hit publish. Just going to add a little caveat to that. Not maybe a caveat, but just a little addendum to that. And that is, for those who are the perfectionists out there, and you know who you are, there's a difference between being publish ready and being perfect. I often argue about the fact there is no perfect book, and I always default to Stephen King on this. One of the greatest, most popular, most successful living authors of our generation. There's so many, thousands of people will give him a 5-star review and say he is just a master at what he does, but equally there are thousands of people who will give him a 1-star review and say, I don't get what the fuss is. So there is no such thing as a perfect book. Even after what he's been writing for 40, 50 years, it's still not a perfect book, because there is no such thing as a perfect book. So for you perfectionists out there, just hear that. There is no such thing as a perfect book. If you continue to pursue perfection, you're going to get nowhere. The book's never going to get finished. You'll never query, you'll never publish. You need to get to a point that you are happy with the book, that this is the best that you are able to do at this given moment in time, given where you are in your writing life, in the journey, in the craft that you've got, and your experience of storytelling in long form. Your next book is going to be better again. The third book is going to be better than that. The fourth book is going to continue to get better and better and better. So for you perfectionists, please, please, please try and put that to one side and know your book's never going to be perfect, but you are going to improve with every book that you write, whether or not you publish it, whether or not you decide to hit publish. All right, so when do you hit publish? It depends if you're going the traditional or indie route. If you're going the traditional route, that's going to be dependent on your publisher, and even in a small press, it's going to be dependent on a small press as well, because they've got their schedule and they want to give you the best they can, so they need to put it in a schedule, in a timeline and a pipeline that they can maximize your book's release. If you're going indie or hybrid, if you're hybrid, you have more of a say because you're going to be doing the vast majority of the promotion yourself, so you'll get a say in that. If you're going fully indie, it is up to you. You get to decide when your book is you are ready to hit publish, and that is all in your hands, which of course is a double-edged sword. Like anything, there's pros and cons, but you've got to determine what's the right path for you. And also the right path for this book. If you go and watch the Launchpad interview that we did on Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember now, you'll see in the discussion we talk about how there is no one route to publishing, and it's not necessarily, it's shifted actually. I'd say in the last 2 years things have shifted from being what is the right thing for each writer, and actually it's shifted now to what's the right thing for each book. Every project can be done differently now. It's not just a one and done deal. You're not just indie or just trad. You can be a mixture of both now, and that is super exciting. All right, I've chatted for long enough. I hope that helps people understand when you get to hit publish and how it works. All right, take care. I'll see you soon. Bye.